Hello, folks. I am on 2 minutes early, so I'm just going to take the time to tidy up these many fireball sound effects that are on my desktop from yesterday's dev. I've worked out this sound effects workflow, which is I make something in Audacity, I save it to the desktop, I drag it from the desktop into Game Maker, and Viola, there is a sound effect in the game. This is going to be a playtesting stream. I've got two games to look at today that have come from our Discord community. So at the moment, every other Wednesday, I am doing playtests specifically for channel supporters. So people that are in our Discord community, either because you support the channel on Patreon or through YouTube membership, or we have members of the community who are there for other reasons. They've collaborated with me on a game, they've submitted a game before and I thought it was really cool, all of those sorts of reasons. So every other Wednesday we're doing that at the moment. It used to be once a month and it was starting to get a bit full, the backlog of games, so I'm doing it every other Wednesday now. And that means we can slow down a little bit and we can spend a bit more time with each game. I'm just getting them open on itch. We're going to check out Sprytewood and we're going to check out Our Flowers. Haven't checked out Sprytewood for a little while. Haven't checked out Our Flowers ever. So let's give these a look. I love how the entire style of this page has been customized to match the art style of the game. That's really nice. So I just switched my chat to multi-stream. So if you've said hi on Twitch and I didn't notice, that's why. Sorry about that. Hi, Apples. I'm just going to check what we've got on the stream tomorrow as well, because that's the regular Indies Under the Knife. Tomorrow, unique new deck builders. So tomorrow we have got This Is It, Mark My Words, and Goblin Gourmet. Okay, yeah, I remember now. Let's check out Our Flowers first, because we haven't seen that before. There we go. See if you can make the orange flower. Okay. This is a good thing to do when you put a playtest up and it maybe doesn't have as many goals and direction yet as a full game might. It's just kind of give people a little prompt of what they should try to do on the itch page itself. So we are growing and breeding flowers. Okay, cool. Grow a flower. Here? Is this a seed? Okay, so it's like a card, but it's a... Put it in there. Okay, so the controls for this, I click, it goes into my hand, I move, I can do that with it. But these don't have soil in. Do I need to put some soil in there first? Ah. Hi, Jexter. So we've got some tools here. That's a magnifying glass. That's a lovely effect. Look at that. Really nice kind of toy factor going on here. Can take cuttings. Lovely little snip snip. And we can dig, although I'm not sure what we can dig, because it looks like we can clip this into this, but this isn't earth. This is a shelf as far as I could tell. Got seeds. Red flower seeds are free. Handbook. Okay, cool. We've got some actual genetics. Mendelian traits are based on Mendel's law of inheritance. Trait. Each parent contributes one random allele to the offspring. Okay, so the capital letters are dominant alleles, I guess, dominant genes. Use your magnifying glass on a flower to take a look. I haven't made a flower yet. Okay, so yeah. We're doing dominant and recessive genes using Mendelian traits. That's cool. Polygenic traits are single traits that is controlled by the additive effect of multiple genes. So like height. And epistatic genes are genes that mask or interfere with the expression of other genes. They're inherited in the same way that Mendelian traits are, which is the first type. Okay, that's our little biology handbook. I've got a bud. The problem I'm having is I just can't plant a seed. Just can't plant a seed. So I pick it up and it. So the most intuitive interaction for this would be I click and I drag, and the whole time I drag it's in my hand, and then I let go of the mouse and it drops. But it's basically click to pick it up, and then it's in your hand. And then if I put it in here, it doesn't look like there's any soil in here. So I can't really work out how I'm supposed to plant the seed into the soil, or if I'm supposed to put soil in there first. Ah, there we go. There we go. Ah, here we go. So there is soil in there. There's soil in there. The issue is that at the moment, when you do this, it kind of clips into it and you can't see that there's soil there. And that makes it look like this is an empty pot. That, what you're seeing there, makes it look like that's an empty pot. And what I'm seeing at the back there is ceramic. So what I would do to make that really obvious from the get-go is just darken this soil. Because at the moment, that inside, I guess you can see this aurora or whatever you'd call it around here, this corona. And that's supposed to show it's a flat surface, but with everything clipping into it like that, it's a bit confusing. And then if I put this here, I can dig them out. That's very satisfying now that it's got a... There we go. Okay, we're going to just grow 3 red flowers. Yeah, making the soil a bit darker seems like a easy win. It reminds me of the... what's the schedule game? The drug growing game? When games have numbers in the title, I'm never going to remember what the number is. So I'm going to call it Schedule 13, like District 13 with the aliens. But I think it's Schedule 1 or Schedule 12 or something. Okay. So we go to the shop catalogue. We've only got red flowers at the moment. Do I snip them? What does that achieve? We've got some genetics. These both have the same genetics. They are bros. This is really nice. This is a really nice set of interactions. One thing that feels a little bit confusing is because I'm moving this on, I don't know what axes they would be in 3D. Is it like X and Z? But then sort of, I think the problem is I can see the mouse cursor, and the mouse cursor is to do with the handle rather than the interaction end of the interaction point of the thing. Yeah, Schedule 1 is great. I went into playing Schedule 1 thinking it was going to be like, because the characters are very South Parky looking, thinking it was going to be very kind of crass and silly. And it is kind of silly, but it's also really, really chilled out. It's like the lo-fi beats to study to of games, I think, especially in that kind of business management type area. Okay. I'm supposed to be growing a white flower, but all I can do is snippety snip. Oh, here's the ones I've snipped. That's very nice. I can sell a flower. Ah, okay. So every flower I make is an opportunity to either sell the flower or make some seeds. I get it now. So I snip these. I'll plant the last 2 seeds I've got. Morning. And we're going to make some seeds. Put it in the seed maker. Does that make 1 or does it make 3? Oh, it makes 3. Okay. Boop. Snippety, snippety. See, this is already has quite a lot of fun potential, even though it feels like, you know, you see all the stuff in it and you see the science and you think this is going to be quite dry. But making those decisions about, or do I stay on this screen and do this, or do I go and try and prepare stuff for sale and stuff like that, that's quite fun. The juggling. What's this? Is this for putting the special ones in? I don't know. Snippety, snippety, snippety. I think anytime you create some sort of priority juggling in a game, it immediately makes it richer. Even if it's just, you know, how do I spend my time as a player? Do I spend it on this screen or this screen? And what am I sacrificing to do that? It can be the simplest thing, but it just makes a game so much richer. Don't understand this screen yet. Don't know what this screen is for. Hi, Karim. There is a form on indiegameclinic.com for submitting games. On the Thursday streams where I play games submitted by folks outside the community, I only play games that haven't had a commercial release. So if your game is already sort of charging money, then I don't play it on that stream, because that's what this channel is about. It's about giving people feedback before they release a game. Ah, okay. I can choose that. And I can save a flower for later. There we go. That's what we're doing. Okay, cool. There's lots of little opportunities here for tiny sound effects, like a crinkling paper when the paper comes in, and a little ceramic when the pot changes to the pot. Very, very simple things, but would go a long way. This is already visually very beautiful. I love the distortion shader on that magnifying glass. So good. This is really nice. It's just a kind of inherently satisfying set of things to do. Plop. Plop. And furthermore, plop. What I don't know what these cotton buds are for. Can I get... Excuse me. Excuse me, Mr. Flower. I want to clean your ears. Ah, look. It's telling me I am a red flower. Oh, is this how you do the cross-pollination? You use that to pollinate them. Is that a thing? I don't know nothing about horticulture. I'm sorry. Welcome back to Indie Flower Clinic. A channel dedicated entirely to games where you grow flowers. I feel like there's a niche for that. I feel like Gardener plays gardening games. If you're a gardener out there and you've got a kind of very archetypal gardener vibe, you know, you wear dungarees and stuff like that, I think you should make a YouTube channel that's just a gardener playing gardening games. I think that would go down very well. And you could cut to actual gardening tips. You could do a review of a gardening game, and then you could cut to a gardening tip in the middle of the review. And then you could do sections on botany where you like talk about how realistic the depiction of flowers is in the game you're looking at. I think that would be really good. Someone's got to do it. If you're out there and you're watching this and you're a gamer that likes gardening, it's free real estate. I haven't copyrighted that idea. I must grow a white flower. Am I just hanging around waiting for these flowers to mutate? I get some. So if I do that, is that supposed to be cross-pollinating them? Because I mean, I think that's how that works, but I've only got red ones, so. You know, if this was the real world and I was trying to grow a white flower, at this time I would have gone to the shop and bought some white flower seeds. But the shop only has red flower seeds. Da, da, da. I think another way to deal with the soil issue, because I can see that we're darkening the soil to show that it's been watered, right? Which makes sense. And that means that maybe you can't darken the soil to make it more distinct from the pot, in which case maybe making the lip inside a different color or making the pots a different color. Remove flower from queue first. Excuse me. What do you mean? Oh, is this the queue is too full. This red flower's being like, hey, I'm a red flower. Look at me. It's displaying its loyalty to the House of Tudor. That's what's going on there. Were the Tudors the red one and the Stuarts the white one? I can't remember. Seed inventory is full. We're just going to sell these flowers. I'm going to put one in a pot and save it, even though we've already got one of those saved. Yes. Science. Science, yes. It's got traits over on the right-hand side. Redness. Number of petals, maybe. I don't know. I can only guess. Any flowers that are saved are placed in one of these vases. This is a showcase your favorite flowers. Okay. Use the dryer to create seeds. Flowers that were not pollinated create duplicate seeds of themselves. Okay. They've all been pollinated. Ah, look, that one. That's a red that's been pollinated with a red. Ah, we're going to start getting our variations now, I think. That's cool. Let's go in. So that's telling us that it's been pollinated with a red flower. Got it. So if I make seeds with that, I get another one that's been pollinated with itself. And then I'm going to sell the other two. I'm not going to put them in my collection because everyone's seen a red flower before. No one's going to be impressed by that. Oh, look. They're different. This one has more petals. Ah, these are different. This one has 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. The icons look different because this has got darker red around here. That's interesting. I want to make seeds of this one and see what symbol it changes to, but I don't think I can make a seed right now because I've got no space. I'm gonna get rid of some seed packs. There's a lot of it's really nice that that's a kind of situation where I think of something I want to be able to do, like get rid of a seed pack and clear the inventory, and it's just there. You know, there's no sort of rooting around looking for features that the game needs and should have. Okay, so that's one of these bigger ones that's been bred with itself. So maybe that's going to give us a different outcome. Let's pollinate one of those with one of these. And then also one of these. So I guess what we're trying to do now is get as much genetic variety out at once. So we're going to get 3 different flowers out. And the initial differences are quite subtle because they're differences with other red flowers. So this has more petals than this. These two at the left-hand side look the same. But that might be because this one looks like it has slightly more. So I'm going to try and cross-pollinate these two. And then just pick a random one to pollinate the middle one with. Make seeds out of that. That looks like seeds we've already got. And then I'm going to sell these boring ones. I'll sell that one as well. I quite like this sort of puzzly element and the weighting and the kind of like what is it going to grow into? I guess you know what it's going to grow into, but I suppose because of the genetic system and the fact that some things are recessive, you don't always know what it's going to grow into. Yeah, it's like you're trying to explore what the flowers can can crossbreed into, but at the same time you're also trying to make sure you don't fill up your seed inventory. So that's it. A lot of the time, if you take a game theme, even if the game theme is quite dry or quite realistic or whatever, those restrictions, like, oh, you can only have 4 packs of seeds, that's not realistic, but that is the thing that makes it a game, right? Having only 3 pots and 4 things is the limitation that is making me have to think a little bit about what I'm doing. As soon as you turn it into a full-blown simulator where I can just buy 200 pots and have as many seed packets as I want, because why would you not be able to fit as many seed packets as you want on a table, then it stops being a game and it starts being a simulation. And these limitations are actually what are making it feel like a game to me. Cool. Because they're the thing that create the decision space for the player. They're the thing that make it into something to think about rather than a... If you didn't have these limitations and you could buy as many pots as you want and you could save as many seeds as you want, the decisions would stop being decisions, because you'd just be doing busy work of like doing the same thing over and over again. So something to think about. Right, we need to do some pollination this time, because I've just been chopping them down and selling them to free up my seeds. Yeah, these books are interactable. This one tells you about the genetic stuff. The shop catalogue just lets you buy red seeds. So, okay, have we bred one of these with one of these? Snip, snip, snip. And then before we make any more seeds, I'm going to plant the rest of these ones. Let's make some games. How many people have playtested your demo outside of the submission to the channel? Are you part of a community where people playtest each other's games or anything like that? Because the only real way to validate those things and make sure you know the thing is worth releasing is to have people play it beforehand. There's a strange belief that you'll be sort of doing yourself out of money by letting people play your game for free. But I mean, some of the most popular indie games that have made hundreds of thousands of dollars have been played by hundreds or thousands of people before they've been commercially released, and that's why they're so good. Because playtesting is part of game design. It's not like a bonus thing on top. It's just part of what you have to do to make a good game. And people say, oh, it's really hard to get people to playtest. Yeah, I know. You have to ask people to play something. You have to put up with rejection of people not doing what you ask them to do. All of that kind of stuff. But it is important. And if you can't develop the set of skills required to get people to playtest something in the first place, then you might not actually enjoy game design. Because game design is not programming, and it's not making art. It is making sure an activity for people is fun. Yeah, we've got a few little clipping things, like the water is popping down off the edge there. I need to play Mega Bonk. It looks great. So silly. I have a list of games that I've been meaning to play. I don't know whether I'll stream them or just play them and record it and then make videos out of it later, but Mega Bonk is definitely on there. What I would like to be able to do is click several things to do the same operation with, like click 3 flowers and then sell them all at one go. That would be good. I mean, it opens up the opportunity for me to accidentally do the wrong thing lots of times, but I mean, there isn't a tried and tested way to make sure that your game gets played by the right people. The thing about getting people in a community to collaborate with you, like let's say you've made a city builder game, right? So you go on the Reddit community for city builders. If the only thing you ever do in that community is post your game and try and get people to playtest it, you're going to get less people to playtest it. If you actually spend some time there hanging out with people and talking about stuff, and then say, oh, by the way, I'm making this game, you know, or someone says, oh, I hate it in these games where this happens and this doesn't happen. You say, oh, actually, I'm working on a game that doesn't do that. It is really about being human and interacting with people in a human way. And that's time consuming, I know. But most parts of doing anything well are time consuming. But yeah, I mean, I kind of, the way I see it is like, when you make a game, when you design a game, you're sort of expressing and testing out your own personal theories about game design, right? So you should be working in a genre or a design space that you're interested in. So if you were making a game based on Vampire Survivors, and you weren't already in the Vampire Survivors fan Reddit, then I'd think, well, why are you making Vampire Survivors? Because the answer is usually because someone saw that game and thought, oh, I could do this. This is something I'm technically capable of doing. But you're not usually going to make a good game if you're not making something that you're a fan of or something that you have some sort of personal stake in. So all of this stuff about getting playtesters and being part of communities to get playtesters, it's like, well, you should be a fan of the thing that you're working in. And that should be the kind of social lubricant that allows you to bring your game up and get people to become interested in it, you know? Sometimes it's a matter of like, most people don't want to play test a grey box prototype. So those are instances where you're going to need to find other game developers where it's a kind of I scratch your back, you scratch mine type thing with playtesting, where you are like agreeing, okay, we both understand that our games have no art in and stuff like that, but we're going to test them out for each other and we're going to help each other out and stuff like that. Most people who are just gamers don't want to play a game that's that early on. They want to play a game that's more in this kind of state where they can see what like the art direction of the game and stuff like that is, even if it's incomplete. So I think the other thing is, right, so don't put a game on Steam as a demo until it's been playtested quite thoroughly. And in order to get a game playtested in the first place, it has to be appealing. And if no one wants to playtest the game, then that should be telling you that there is something fundamentally unappealing about the game, whether it's the, you know, the art style or the whatever it is. And, you know, a lot of people will then go, oh, but that's all I could do. And it's like, well, then you don't need to make games which are incredibly multimedia. Like, they're really multimedia. They have all of these things in them. Obviously, as someone who makes games, I empathize that you can't do everything, that you can't do code and art and all these things. But if you're not committed to trying to make all the parts of your game good, then you may as well not make games, because they do involve all of those things. And they do require all of those things to be at a decent standard for people to want to play them, because people have limited time. Everyone who plays games has a big backlog of games they want to play. And you know, you need to be making sure that whatever you're making is something that people feel interested in enough that they're going to give up like half an hour of their day. So I think I need to be using this more. A, B, B, C. If the dev is watching this back, I'd really like for the switching between you click to switch between which category you're looking at on the current flower. I'd really like to be able to go through those with the mouse wheel, because we're clicking to okay, the flower we're looking at changes with the position of this. Yeah, I'd really like to be able to click through the categories with the mouse wheel, because clicking on them with the click feels more like selecting something rather than changing a category. We are trying to get the colors to morph, but these have the same genes for the primary color. They have AABBC. So I'm not sure how we are actually supposed to get a different color flower out of these, unless the intention is we just keep growing them until it mutates naturally. But I can't. Yeah. The other thing with playtesting as well that I would recommend is anything you can do that's in person. And it may be that there's no kind of game developer meetups near you, or it may be that it's a bit further. There is one, but it's a bit further away, and you can only go every few months or something. But it is worth doing. And that's kind of different because it's developers checking out other developers' games, but sometimes developers are very good at seeing things that random gamers can't see. So they might not be the target audience for your game, but they might have like general things they can notice about it that other people might not. And if there isn't anything like that local to you, I would just set one up. I set up a meetup in my town, which happens once a month at a pub. And we've had meetups where 5 people came, and we've had meetups where no people came. And, you know, that's annoying when no people come. Yeah, I've got a white flower. Okay, so we were just sort of waiting for the mutation. But, it also costs nothing. You know, it's not something that's like a high-risk venture or anything. It's just making a meetup page or an Instagram account or a Facebook group, and then inviting people to it and post. You know, there's a Facebook group here that is like local creatives or local digital creatives. So if I've got something with the game dev group, then I will post it to there, and then occasionally people from there will see it. And maybe they're not game developers, maybe they're people that are just tangentially interested in it and want to speak to game developers. That's fine as well. Once you've got a meetup, you don't know who's going to come to the meetup, do you? And that just opens up opportunities, because it might be that, you know, someone who wants to make music for games, or sound effects for games, or art for games, who's not really a developer, might show up, and then you might have someone to work with and all of that kind of stuff. But that's the thing about stuff that involves interactions with other humans, is all you can do is create a space for opportunities. You can't always dictate what you're going to get out of that space. There were a couple of teams that formed during Collab Jam, which was the game jam we ran back in April, and they're still working on their games together. Obviously, it didn't work out for everyone. It's not going to work out for everyone, but you know. It is a very good background game for while you're chatting about something else, for sure. So these flowers contain the genes of a red flower and a white flower, and I think the white color is recessive, which means that we only get a white flower when we mix these together, and then it's a random chance of getting a white flower based on if genetics hasn't changed since I was at school, then the recessive gene needs to be there twice, whereas the dominant gene only needs to be there once. I'm going to sell these flowers. I'm going to sell these bad boys. Yeah. Fiverr is also very good for things like voice actors and stuff like that. I've organised voice actors through Fiverr. Yeah, so an unbiased opinion. There's a name for that. It's in UX they call it Kleenex testing. It's like a throwaway tester. It's someone that's only seen the game or the app for the first time, and they're maybe never going to see it again. Yeah, that is where you do need sort of situations where there's a larger group of people and you can more easily pick out who hasn't engaged with the thing before. I would say that is the single best thing about going on a course or something like that, because a lot of the time you're going to learn or practice lots of things that aren't that important, but just having people around that are doing the same things as you, it's very hard to kind of, as an adult, create situations where that's the case. You have to work really hard to create situations where there are people around that are doing the same thing and can help each other out. You know, you have to start a co-op working space or whatever, or start a meetup, and that's like a whole job in itself, you know. Like, I wouldn't feel comfortable doing this channel the way I do and having like a Patreon funded Discord if I didn't see that the Discord was providing people value in that kind of way. But it is, you know, doing any kind of community management is its own thing. But also, if you're doing a thing and it requires people, and you've decided to do that thing, then we've got a kind of pure white seed pack now for the first time, I think. Okay, I'm gonna get rid of these two. Yeah, this is great. I could see. I feel like the balance with this between it being a game, where you actually maybe have to think about what you're doing versus like a mindless activity, is good. You can treat it one way or the other, and it still kind of works. Lots of little places where I'd like another sound effect, like particularly these. Doom. Rustle, rustle, rustle. You know? Just to add a little bit of what do you call it, kind of being there, I guess. Immersion, that's the one. Immersion. Hi Martin. There are now 49 people watching me make flowers. I don't think there is, Couch, I don't think there is a downside to watching people playtest over Discord. I think watching people is definitely better than letting them play and then tell you. Because you need to see when they get stuck on something, because they won't self-report that sometimes. People just forget. People play a game, they forget, they can't work something out, and then as soon as they've worked it out, they forget that happened. They have very kind of... Your kind of short-term memory of a little bit of a game you were stuck on sort of erases itself after you've learned that thing. It's just a thing that most people are not self-aware enough to tell you about. So you do have to watch people play games, particularly when you're testing for those kind of interface design, UX-y type things where players just get confused. So... Was that your impression of a Scouse registered gas installer? Yes. My entire life is an impression of a Scouse registered gas installer. I'm going to sell these bad boys. Although I think I need... I've got these double white ones. Oh, I can buy yellow flowers now. Okay, I'm gonna grow these ones and sell them. Then we're gonna buy some red seeds, and then we're really cooking with flour. Because then we'll be masters of genetics, and we'll be able to create the ultimate flower. The ultimate floral mensch. Give me some red seeds. And we're gonna... Now, I know genetics doesn't work the way I want it to, and I'm probably not going to be able to make a pink flower out of red and white, unfortunately. Let's get a spread. So, this is the point when it becomes Balatro, and the game is suddenly like, Royal Flush! And it gives me 1,000,000 points, and it starts flashing everywhere. That would be great. It wouldn't. It would ruin the game, but you know. I feel like I'm becoming very conscious of the tone of how I say jokes, because I say things in quite a dry way and people often don't get that I'm joking. And now that YouTube has started forcing this forced dubbing on everyone, I think that's only going to get worse. So I've seen people both on my channel and other people's channels say, can you turn off the dubbing? Because they'll be watching from France, but they'll speak English. And YouTube is like, no, you will watch this in AI French. And as far as I'm aware, we don't actually have anything on our end to turn it off. It's an experimental feature. They're half rolling it out in loads of places. And they want it used and tested. So they haven't given us any tools to turn it off, which means that if you're watching me in German, and you're not watching the live stream and you're watching the VOD, I'll have some sort of like German Homer Simpson voice. We can turn it off. Excellent, Emily. That's good to know. I had to look around before and I couldn't find any tools to do it. So we're going to breed the yellow and the white and try and make a beige flower. Because that's how genes work. It's kind of like, it's got a kind of, it's almost like a gacha game where you can determine the outcome of your gacha pools by understanding a tiny bit about genetics. I don't know why I'm getting some kind of ping on something from my computer, and I don't know what it is. Snip, snip, snip. My seed inventory is full. See, this is where it gets you. This is the bit that makes it a game. It's the bit that's like, sorry, bud. You've only got 3 pots and you can only have 4 sets of seeds. This is why people that think the future of games is making something closer to the Matrix are wrong. Because the thing that makes a game is the constraints that force players to make decisions about things. And the closer you get something to being a simulation of the real world, the less it becomes about that, and then it stops being a game. Look at that. You look at that yellow flower. That's a sorry excuse for a flower. So short. I mean, we do stand a short king, but look how short that flower is. We're going to breed these together and we're going to make a medium flower. And then we're going to keep going on our quest for the orange flower. It is a selective breeding game, yeah. It's quite pleasant. Feels like a lot of it is already there. Needs some, like, Sims-esque Brian Eno ambient piano music. I think there is audio, but I haven't been able to hear it very well. Maybe I just need to turn my headphones volume. Doesn't have any correlation to the volume that you guys can hear things at. Grow a green flower? What? I will never grow a green flower. Look! So if we grow these together, we can have a real orange flower. Right, let's get some of these bad boys out of the way. I'm going to switch over and play sprytewood in a minute. Although this is very, very calming. It's quite a contrast to my sort of main console game I've been playing at the moment. I've been playing Deathloop. Been meaning to play Deathloop for a while. And finally got around to it. Having a good time with it. And this is basically the opposite of Deathloop, I think. We're going to sell these ones. These little marigold looking MFs. Look at that. Pure orange seed. Look at that. Get good, scrub. Sell these white flowers. Someone's getting married. Oh, I saved one. There it is. I don't need all these. Yuck. There we go. I like that putting all those basic red flowers in there got these two to be in the middle, though. They look like they're having a little conversation. Like they've sort of walked down from either side to talk to each other about flower stuff. What do flowers talk about? Who knows? Probably fascism with all this eugenics going on. The game is telling me to try and grow a green flower, but I don't want a green flower. It's just wrong. Okay, we're going to just go for a spread this time. See what we get. I don't know about you guys, but this is how I water my plants. Oh, my seeds. I'm all full up with seeds. Ah, look. The legendary beige flower. I feel very, very prejudiced against the flowers that have, like, are small and have not many petals. And I think maybe that's how you're supposed to feel in the gardening world, but I've never been part of that world, so I don't know. It's alien to me to be like sitting so uncomfortably at the bridge of eugenics and aesthetics, you know. But that's what people who garden are into, apparently. And that does make you think, people who garden, are they like that about everything? Do they make compliments about people having good breeding and stuff like that? Like it's the 1800s? I think they probably do. You know, not to be too uncharitable about gardeners, but they're basically doing eugenics as a hobby, aren't they? And I find that questionable. How much money have we made? It doesn't really highlight how much money. 62. I'm rolling in it. Got so much wonga. Do people say wonga? I've never heard anyone actually say... So, wonga in the UK is slang for money. I have never heard anyone say wonga outside the context of a commercial, like an advert, trying to be... informal. But in this game, I have 62 of them. That's a lot of wongas. Never heard this word. It's not a word that gets used very often. Look, this flower's almost gone brown. Look at that. That's like a dark orange. Very fetching. I'm going to make some of these for market. Cockneys in adverts. And yet there is an actual... I think it's a loan company called Wonga. I'm going to put this bad boy in one of these. Look at that. It's all alone. Because I can't move them now. Oh, red flower, I do love you so. Oh, white flower, it's so nice to meet under the stars. I hope nobody sees us here. Yes, that orange flower would tell everyone if he saw us. Ha 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 ha. I have seen them. Can't trust an orange flower. Too many alleles. Sell all of these bad boys. This is really good. I don't have much to say on it. There are loads of little things in it to do with, like, yeah, it would be nice to have some music. It would be nice to fill out some of the interactions with more sound effects. Deal with some of the clipping issues here. I feel like the movement and operation of this tool in particular feels a bit janky. It's almost like we want to detect when it's hitting this thing from that side and stop it and then make it so you have to lift it up and do that with it. But yeah, it's lovely. There is an amount of random chance involved in it because that's how the genetics work. But and you don't really know what you're trying to get. You just know you're trying to mix together things that you haven't got a result from before. But yeah, that's really nice. I like that one. That is coming along very, very nicely. It needs microtransactions, yeah. I'm not sure that it does. I think that's that. Sorry for the dings. I think it was Facebook on one of my Chrome tabs. Okay, let's check out Sprytewood. A game about a wood where there are sprites. That's where they live, in the Sprytewood. What's a sprite? A sprite is a name that we give to a piece of graphical information in a game that is usually used to represent an object in that game, like a character, item, background location. And this is a game that has those in it. I really like the idea that someone would open this up and on their very first play of it go, it's wind swaying. Not having any of that. Just first time. Someone that has such a strong aversion to wind that they hate to see it simulated in games. No. Absolutely not. I can choose my kind. I can choose my skin. I can choose my hair. Okay, we're going to have black hair. We're going to have all in purple. Basically just going to be Prince. There we go. The artist formerly known as Prince is going into sprytewood. Let's go. Prince the human. I'm going to play it with the gamepad. I think we're going with the gamepad. I'm not a goblin, I'm a human. I'm a regular human called Prince. Hey. So I was told I can skip the tutorial because it hasn't changed since I last played this a few months ago, but I'm not going to because I don't really remember a lot of it. I know what the game is about. Jill posts a lot of good updates on it, but I haven't played it for a while, so... Was that a voice? Could you, like, come over here? I'm a bit indisposed right now. Walking animation is very charming. I know that you can hear me. Press RT. Oh, I will. The difference in speed between the walk and the run feels very, very slight. Okay. Let me guess, you lost, right? I can lend you a hand, and in return you carry me a while. You want me to carry you? Yep, that would be nice. You seem like a nice being. Oh, you let me sit here for another 10,000 years. Until the brave traveler comes my way to finally save me from my destiny. And I guess you don't want me to tell you about the little friends you brought. You're a foreigner. You're a foreigner, can't see them yet, huh? What are you talking about? Here, let me help you. The locals call them sprites. They're spiritual beings, possessed animals, plants, and even objects. No one really knows where they come from or why. Most of the time they're friendly, but I heard they've gotten more hostile lately. These two really seem to like you. Better stay friends. They can ward you. Can you take me already? Okay, whatever. Great. Here, take that bag. It's smaller on the outside, and it comes with a free gobbler. There's also this old book with bits of knowledge if you get stuck. I like bits of knowledge. Let's go to the old farmhouse. I want to show you something. Just follow the path and head north. It's Patrick Stewart skeleton. Wait, do you see these sprites there? They might attack us. Are you ready? Frickin' owl. Frickin' slime. Can't go anywhere in these woods without an owl and a slime showing up. Messing with you. Sprites use little magical objects called sharbles to form one big attack. Every sprite has its own collection of sharbles. Additionally, you can give your sprites special items they can use as a sharble. Okay. So, be interested to see if people understand what's going on here without anyone explaining it. Because it's quite a unique take on this type of combat, I would say. Captain's log. Stardate. Whatever day it is today. I have found myself lost in the woods. I am a disembodied skeleton. The artist formerly known as Prince has just picked me up and put me in a bag. And of course, I've seen everything. This is your first time in a Sharble combat. Your sprites need to draw Sharbles to charge a combined attack. Little objects a sprite can use to gather their inherent magical essences. Each Sharble adds Dumug or other effects. Let's try to build a massive attack. Nintendo might have patented this game, but also Massive Attack have trademarked the term Massive Attack. And that means you can't say Massive Attack in a game, or Robert Del Naja from Massive Attack will ask you for 50 quid. Click on a sprite to draw one of its Sharbles. I'm going to go with Ocat. Okay, so that purple Sharble has come out of his little pocket, his little bag where it says 9-1. Standard Sharbles add Ool. Overload bar in the center. Try drawing as much as possible, but be careful. Okay. So I'm drawing these Sharbles. There's no way for me to like hover over the ones I've drawn and find out what they are yet. I'm going to strike with that much. Who am I going to strike? I'm going to strike Slime Pal. When your turn ends without overloading, sprites can channel their surroundings. This creates new Sharbles, which last for this battle only. The choices can vary depending on your location. That is a really neat way to make the combat arena relevant to what is happening in the match. So you might have particular combat arenas where it is worth drawing less because the particular sprite that you have benefits more from the environmental thing. That's cool. So I get to pick one of these to go into... I can draw quite a lot before I hit the point where I go bust. What just happened? Okay. I thought the entire circle was the bust wheel, but it's actually only semicircle, like half of it, I think. I'm not sure I understand the interface fully yet, but... So if I go bust by filling half of that, do we need the bit at the bottom? It is a bit confusing, I think, visually. What's that? It's possible to accidentally click down on this menu and go to something that doesn't exist. I see. Okay. Okay. I'm gonna tame you. Yes! Got the owl. My owl now. My owl. So the little pink tabs around the center are the overload, but my understanding is the overload is only one semicircle, not the full circle. But the full circle being there is confusing, because when I was using my bottom sprite, the semicircle filled up like the bottom half, and when I was using my top sprite, it filled up the top half. But we've still got those like flashing bits in the other side of the semicircle, and that makes it look like it can go all the way round like a clock. That was what was throwing me off there a bit. Here we are. Look. There are still some tools lying around, maybe not the finest, but sufficient for now. Take your hoe and some seeds. I'll show you how to grow some crops. Let me know when you're ready. With L and R, you can use items in the first 2 slots. You can press LT to toggle the little tool cursor, which highlights the tile you're working on. Okay. Ah, lots of lovely things for me to take. I can whack things. Okay, so that's going to be for bashing rocks and stuff, I guess. This is for chopping wood. I got one very loud got one very loud whack on the tree, and then it stopped making a noise after that. Alternate world where Prince faked his death so that he could go and live in the woods with some fictional characters. I'm having a little bit of trouble with the controlling the interface at the bottom, but I also haven't played anything like this for a little while. Like, it's been years since I played Stardew Valley, so I think games like this, you generally going to take a little while to get to a point where you sort of can use the basic controls. Corn. Why can't I plant my corn? Maybe that's an actual corn and not a seed, that's why. I'm trying to plant things that aren't seeds. Classic. Yeah, there are definitely some places where like the paleness of the colours makes it hard to kind of see what's going on a little bit. It's a lovely aesthetic. I'm going to go in my house. I'm going to open my box. I'm going to feed the gobbler a tree. I can't take food back off the gobbler now. I wanted to give him the tree, not the wood. But Time for me to sleep. Music's great. I like this blip 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 bit. I've got 54 question marks. What's that? And how do I... okay, I click the joystick down to get the inventory up. Okay. The gobbler won't eat a tree. In some of these little weeds. Just doing some tasks. Just doing some tasks on my little farm. I'm going to destroy this tree because I don't like it. And this one. And this one. I'm going to build a massive car park. Multi-story car park. And there won't be any more of these plants running around, messing things up. Gonna astroturf half of it. Do you know how we feel about gardeners? We've already established that today. The Lorax was just virtue signaling because he'd done some pretty bad stuff. He was trying to make up for it. You know those kind of guys? That's what the Lorax... that's my take on the Lorax. No one cares that much about environmental issues without having some sort of skeletons in their closet. And he went around naked, didn't he? I think that should tell you everything you need to know. I'm going to go back in the house and put some of my... put some logs in there. Put some of these trees in here. I like to think of this as like a tree prison. So I get these saplings, and I could plant them, but I'm going to put them in tree prison. No sunlight here. Antica. I actually really like gardening and plants and stuff like that. I'm being silly. Would I wear pants if I had full fur coverage? Interesting question. I mean, human fur isn't that long, right? Even like the hairiest person on the planet, it's not like long enough to fully act as clothing. Maybe. I can't work out whether that sounds really cozy and comfy or whether it makes me itch. But I get to a stage of beard growth where I just start to itch really bad. So like being that hairy all over like the Lorax, it could be cozy and warm or it could be really uncomfortable. But then the problem is that raises the possibility of a shaven Lorax, which, you know, it's just not meant to be thought about, really. But in the infinite multiverse, somewhere out there, it exists. Or someone's probably drawn it already. Because people do that, don't they? They draw things. I don't know about, you know, some of you young'uns in the chat might not know about this, but there was a time where when you imagined something, you used to imagine something sometimes, like have a thought about something that didn't exist yet. And instead of asking a computer to show you it, you would sort of use crude, rudimentary tools to create a best approximation of what that thing might look like if it were real. And now, of course, we don't do that because instead of sitting there with a piece of paper for 5 minutes and you know, doing that very difficult, very challenging, self-destructive work of turning your imaginings into something you can look at through the medium of drawing, now we ask a very sophisticated computer to do it, and that's fine because there are no consequences at all of doing that. So it's just human evolution, isn't it? Aki found the bald Lorax. Yeah, I mean, have we seen a bear wearing pants? Even Yogi Bear doesn't wear pants, and Yogi Bear wears clothes, right? So that's a case against hairy animals wearing clothes. Yogi Bear just wears a hat and a little collar with his tie on. And I don't know, I think that's quite a bold fashion choice. You know, tie, collar, no trousers. He can only pull it off because he's a bear, I would say. So I press A to pick stuff up and drag it. I'm going to do take all. I'm going to atone for my sins. We're going to go and grow some trees. It was an amusing bit for 5 minutes, but now I want to grow some stuff. Arcane dust currently has no use. Does Juno get annoyed if I take him out of my main inventory and put him in a... Sorry I'm not doing much fighting, I just... It's a gardening kind of day, you know? This is where our pine trees go. The supermarket frowns upon not wearing pants. They do, but have you ever tried not wearing pants in the supermarket and wearing a little tie and like a trilby hat, like a green trilby hat? Because you've got nothing to lose, really, because if they say they don't like it, you can say, well, sorry, but I was influenced as a child by Hanna-Barbera cartoons, and now I steal picnic baskets. Hey, yeah, boo-boo. I go and steal picnic baskets, and I can't help it. It's baked into me, you know? I would need some serious therapy, probably tens of thousands of pounds worth of therapy to make me stop going to the supermarket dressed as Yogi Bear. And people don't get it. They just say, oh, that guy's got no trousers on. You know? It's like that's all they can focus on, is that you've got no trousers on in a public place. They don't care that you've got a hat on. They don't care that you've got a little tie on. Just always got no trousers. I like that we can go up and down through all of the rows of the inventory. And so if I press up and down on the D-pad, it's like it kind of jumps up and down through the inventory and lets me use the different rows. I don't know if that's a standard feature in this kind of life sim type game, but it's neat. Let's go and make a little flower garden. I know I should be doing more Sharble battles, but at the moment, I don't want to. I just want to do some gardening. I know what we'll do. We're gonna... I think the cursor for targeting on the ground is a little bit too faint as well. I would maybe give that a little bit of a drop shadow just so it's more usable, because the pink of the cursor and the green of the grass are very close in kind of value, I think. I can't plant them. Oh, is that because they're not plantables? They're not seeds. They're just flowers. They're just regular human flowers. Okay. Right, sprites. Do you want to go and murder some of your kind? I particularly like the walk animation when you're walking down that way. I don't know why. They're both pretty good. I think there's just a bit more bounce to the vertical one. It's nice. There it is. Going through takes you into the deep forest. It's a labyrinth. Time and space is weird in there. If you want to leave, speak to me. The sprites we encounter get stronger the deeper you delve into the woods. You can check your sprite status in the sprite bag. Press L to open and close it. You can catch and use a total of 6. If you want to catch more, store some in the sprite poles on your farm. Storing them in a pole sounds a bit like I'm going to put them on... pop them on a stick, like a spear. Look, Look up ahead. There they are. Let's murder them. I'm gonna try this guy out. You're gonna beat up Burby. Yeah. OVL is short for overload. That makes sense. Okay. A standard sprite sharble that adds damage. Damage for 2 whenever target drew a sharble. Ooh, that sounds good. Oh, it's up there. Okay. So this guy has sticky ooze, which does extra damage for every sharble you draw. So I want to give him the things that don't add overload, pretty much. So if any of you have played Quacks of Quedlinburg, this is basically Pokemon, but the combat is using Quacks of Quedlinburg, like bag building of tokens. I think it's really neat. I still find it a little bit hard to understand at an interface level, even though I understand what is generally happening. That makes sense. I click the creature. The little tokens come out of the bag. You can see under the creature's health, there's like there's 7 things left and 4 in play. 1 more. Okay. The amounts of damage feel quite low. It's like quite a lot of turns to finish a combat, I think. Okay, so we didn't overload, so we get a temporary one of these. I'm gonna give him another heal because he's got less max health, that top one. Okay, we're going to use this guy now because we have a chance to heal him by drawing the Healy ones, although they're not coming out. I got 1. Got 2. We need an ooze. Not going to happen. Okay. Strike Burby. Ooh, increases damage of previously drawn stash shards 5 times this turn. I'm drawing for both of them. That's what I was getting confused by. Okay. So they both have a separate overload thing. Okay, I've been wasting all of my turns by only drawing for one guy. I've been losing so much damage each turn. Got it. They both attack both turns. Okay. Next hit targeting this sprite is 0. He needs that. He's weakling. Just gonna drop the link in the chat. We're going to beat up Burby. Got exactly 49. Oh. I think there was some rounding squiffiness there, because he had 49 health and we did 49 damage and he's got 1 left. What a loser. What cheat. Nate, it is generally just a design channel. There's not really much that I don't play. But the main thing is that it needs to still be a work in progress. I will occasionally just stream a game I fancy playing to talk about its design and stuff. But yeah, the streams, 99% of what I do is playing people's games that are not finished yet. Sort of like a workshop you would do if you were in a game design class, really. Okay. Guys, how you feeling? Bowie, you're getting swapped out, mate. I'm sorry. We're going OCAP Burby. Yeah, I generally don't play mobile games. They're just too difficult to stream. The setup for doing it is really hard. A lot of you develop for Android rather than iOS, and I don't have an Android device. Yeah, it's just... And generally speaking, I think the indie games audience... So, you know, when people put their games on here, the purpose of the channel from my perspective is to give you feedback and to sort of do kind of design consultancy and try and make that entertaining. Like giving you feedback on something you're trying to do. But lots of people want their games to be seen as well, and that's valid. That's a perfectly good reason to submit something to a YouTuber. In order for that to work for people, then I need to play stuff that people are interested in. And generally speaking, if you say the word indie game to someone that is not a developer, who is just a player, they will not think of mobile games. So you might be independently developing a mobile game. And there are lots of indie mobile games, you know, lots of ones I've loved over the years. Monument Valley, Swords and Sorcery, Super Brothers, stuff like that. They are definitely indie games. But by and large, if a random gamer who plays indie games tunes into a channel called Indie Game Whatever, they're not expecting to see mobile games. And the problem with trying to make anything mobile is you end up going down the free-to-play route even if you don't initially intend to, because it's the only way to make any money out of it. Like, I don't know. I don't know the statistics, but generally speaking, it seems like the only games that can work as premium mobile games are indie games that have already had a good life somewhere else and been ported, you know? Saying this as someone who plays Slay the Spire several times a week on a tablet. Tim Hansen. What do you think of the feeling that I'm learning game dev and enjoying the journey, but slowly losing the satisfaction of playing games? Well, it might be something to do with the fact that games are a placeholder for satisfactions that people get from doing the stuff you're doing when you make games. Maybe I can word that in a more interesting way, or a more helpful way. So what happens when we play games, right? What needs are we fulfilling? So when we play games, what we get out of them is going to be somewhere on the pyramid of needs, on Maslow's hierarchy of needs. Games either actually fulfill one of these things, or they make us feel like we're fulfilling one of these things, right? So a cozy game like Jill's that we're playing right now, it's appealing to lots of the things on here. It's making the player feel safe by putting them in an environment where no one's dying. It is making them feel feelings of friendship, intimacy and stuff. Now, a game can provide those things on a simulation level of, like, you know, as a simulated representation of a place. It's giving you things that make you feel like you're experiencing these things, right? Like, you feel a sense of esteem because the game let you win a hard combat or stuff like that. And sometimes it's actually fulfilling these needs. Like, we get belonging from playing games with other people. We get belonging from playing a single player game and then discussing it with other people. We get belonging from being parts of communities and stuff like this. So games are providing us needs on here, or making us feel like those needs are provided for. The thing with going from being a player of games to a producer of games is a lot of the things on this pyramid that you might have used games for in the past are now fulfilled by making games, right? So I can't imagine someone who plays games and gets self-actualization out of it. Like, the idea that they are fulfilling their life's purpose. But there are people like that. It's people who are like esports champions and stuff like that. I personally don't get a very strong sense of esteem out of being good at a game, but people do, right? And if you're at a point where you get a sense of self-esteem from making things, then it's very hard to go back to a game and get the same thing. So your own pleasure that you can get from games is always going to be in conversation with everything else you do in your life. Like, I've personally never met a guitar that really enjoys playing Guitar Hero, right? But people who can't play guitar really enjoy playing Guitar Hero. So your tastes in games are likely to shift around that. I tend to enjoy playing games that are games that I personally couldn't make. And games that I maybe wouldn't make, right? Because I have things that I'm interested in when I'm making something. And often the games that I enjoy playing, like, you know, I really enjoy Sims. I like Prey. I've been playing Deathloop. I like all of Arcane's type games. I don't make games in 3D. So playing those games is my only way of exploring that area of games. If I was making that type of game, then maybe I would lose my interest in playing them, which is a dangerous slope, because then you don't have good reference points because you're not playing the thing you're making. So I don't know. That would be my answer, is that games, sometimes in a real way, sometimes in an artificial way, meet some sort of need. And often if you're doing some very deep creative work, you don't need that as much. You know, games are a way of giving you some sort of artificial satisfaction. And if you're doing a real thing, like, you know, actually gardening, like, I can look at this game and think, this is a really great game, I'm enjoying this so far. But if I really lived a life out in the woods, planting crops, you know, training a hamster to fight, taking the hamster out, getting the hamster to fight a badger, throwing marbles at the badger until it died, that might be really satisfying. And then I might think I don't need this game anymore because I can do that thing in real life. I mean, yeah, I don't think Prey... it's easy to look at a game like Prey and judge its success against big AAA games. Arcane are close to being a AA studio, and a lot of what they do is just... it's just a bit too smart for most people. Most people don't want to have to think when they play a video game. So if you compare, you know, Prey or Dishonored to Far Cry, which is a series that's got increasingly dumbed down as it's gone on, you can see why it didn't do well. It's because most people don't want an intellectual experience when they play a game. And if they see a game that's like reasonably realistic, 3D game with guns in, that particularly attracts the sort of person that doesn't want to think when they're playing a game. So but yeah, I think everyone goes through that stage of the appreciation of the thing, you know, your analytical side feeling like it's getting in the way. But I don't know who it was who just said in the chat. Someone said you do get over that eventually. I think the danger is people who get really technically good at something often end up, their tastes get really weird. Like, I know lots of musicians who they're way better musicians than I am. And it's sort of like they've transcended melody and rhythm, and now they only want to listen to really weird experimental stuff that is, like, not fun to listen to. It's not pleasant. There are time signatures you can't dance to. There is atonal stuff. And it's just like, I listen to it and I'm just like, well, these people are so talented. Can they just not make something nice? And I know that's a bit basic, but I think that's the danger. When you get really, really good at something, is your tastes fall so out of line with normal people, or the idea of just entertaining someone or making them feel something very, like, basic. But yeah, I remember when I was at school doing media studies and having that period of being like, oh, I hate thinking so hard about everything and now I can't stop. I think the slime is just shinier because it's supposed to be wet, whereas the other characters are not wet. Them, it is like that, yeah. Yeah, the deeper you go into a thing, the more niche you end up getting with it, because, yeah, that is totally a thing. OCAT, why do you have so few sharbles? Do I need to load OCAT up with sharbles? Is that a thing? So yeah, if you're watching now, or you're watching the VOD, and you are already in our Discord because you're one of our Patreon supporters or YouTube members, I'm doing one of these every other Wednesday now. So that's just folks who are in the Discord. And it can be a game that's been on here before. Only had 2 games in the queue today, which is nice because it means we've been able to give a bit more time to each one. And that's particularly nice given the style of games that they are. And then if you're just a regular person, then Indies Under the Knife is every Thursday. And you can submit games to that via the form. If you go on indiegameclinic.com, there is a form. And sometimes games get seen within weeks, sometimes it takes months. What I tend to do is at the start of a month, I look through the list and I try and group together some games that look like they fit together. Might be 1 game, might be 2 games, might be 4 games. We've got a deck builder stream tomorrow. We've got 3 deck builders. And I like to group together games that are trying to do similar things, because then we can kind of compare and contrast. We can talk about, you know, whether a game has which game does a particular feature well, and stuff like that. Yep, if you're working on something, just bear in mind that YouTube is a visual medium. So while I would always encourage people to make bare bones prototypes for practical reasons, in terms of getting someone to play something on a stream, if it's totally grey box, then people are gonna, you know, it's not gonna be a good thing to watch. So I do bear that in mind when I schedule stuff, and I try not to show things that are just totally grey box, even though from a practical point of view as a developer, that is the sensible thing to do. Is there anything I used to enjoy from games where that enjoyment got stolen from another activity? Yeah, I'm not sure. I think yeah, I don't know. Like, I really like games where you get to be creative and build something like Minecraft, but then I find... So a lot of the current indie crafty builder games don't feel structured enough for me. Like, I was replaying Fallout 4, and I really, really enjoy building settlements in that because it feels like you're doing it for a reason. But when a game is just like, make whatever you want, I do it for a while, and I'm like, oh yeah, I'm a creative person, I enjoy this. And then after a while, I just start thinking, well, I could be spending this time just drawing or doing something more directly creative rather than tricking myself into thinking I'm playing a computer game. So I have that way round, I guess. Yeah, I think generally, like, when you're getting a game, or thinking about what Hot Worlds is saying, whenever you're getting a game ready for testing, you wanna know what you're testing, and then avoid getting feedback or complaints on things that you already know about, because then you're wasting the test, you know? So my current one on my game is I need to optimize loads of stuff. Because I knew it was slow, I knew it was unoptimized, and that has been the biggest thing coming back from the playtest. So not very interesting playtesting data because it's something I already knew was a problem. I'm not sure I understand the question anymore, Tim. It sounds like you've got a wife who is a security guard or something. Look at these. I want to catch that pink one. Shrey, I mean, if you're specifically trying to get people to look at your indie game, I would try and find people that stream that specific type of game, because there will always be smaller streamers, and maybe if you're not getting any luck with bigger streamers, then go smaller. You know, find someone with 500 followers that specializes in a particular genre, and focus on trying to get people at that level to play the thing. Right, I'm gonna wrap this up in a minute because we've gone on for 2 hours and I've got some other stuff to do today. I really like where this is headed. There's lots of places where it feels like there's a sound effect missing or something, and I think sometimes the interface is merging in with the art. Like the whole palette being very sort of washed out and faded is fine. That's like an aesthetic thing. But stuff like the selection diamond here and the little pink thing on the ground when we're trying to do digging and stuff, they're very, very small and fiddly. So I think just how faint they are is a problem. Like, I think if I was designing this, I would put like a big section that was like boosh, 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 like a Simon Says around the bit you've got selected. So if I've got this one selected, there's like a big highlight that goes round here, up here, over here, and then there's an inverted version of that down here, one over here and one over here, depending on which one I've got selected. It's very faint, this, and it's not always clear. A few hundred hours of Minecraft. Pesky, measly, a few hundred hours. Yep, if you are watching for the first time and you want to submit a game, head over to Indie Game Clinic. There is a bit where it says, if you'd like to see your game on the weekly Indies Under the Knife stream, please submit it here. This week, that stream will be tomorrow, where it's nearly always on Thursday until I change it. But we do the stream every Thursday with anyone's games. And then I have these priority streams every other Wednesday for members of our Discord community who have joined mostly through our Patreon, which is up here, which I need to remember to advertise more often. I always kind of feel a bit bad about talking about Patreon, and then I realize that everything that I consume that is Patreon funded has an ad on every single stream, every single podcast. I'm just not very good at I haven't made it second nature yet. I don't do a great amount of paywall content. The whole point of this YouTube channel was, hey, I've been a professional game designer and I've taught game design, and I would like to contribute and help people out with what they're doing. So I wanted to make a bunch of YouTube videos that taught people a bunch of game design things or gave them things to think about, because I think game design isn't really a kind of hard skills discipline where there are facts to learn. It is much more, you need to learn a way of thinking, and you do that by being given provocations and thought exercises and stuff like that. So often I get people asking me these very specific, what should I do questions? And it's like, well, what you should do is decide why you're doing what you're doing and like make your own decisions kind of thing, because that's what game design is. So the Patreon, I try not to paywall loads of content, because the whole point of the channel is doing something on YouTube that is accessible for everyone for free. But I do a few things like previews of videos, so people that are on the Patreon will get videos earlier. So we have one coming up. We have, how do I get there? Library. The next video coming out will be out on YouTube on Monday and is out today on the Patreon. So getting stuff early that everyone else will get a few days later. So this video is going to be about designing the types of chains of actions that you can put in a video game. So, you know, rather than loops, thinking of games as chains of things, that can be combos of moves. It can be chains of secrets that you have to learn. It can be chains of resources. Like there is a great essay by Dan Cook that I reference in the video about how picking up sticks in a life sim isn't fun. So it's the thing that you do with the sticks that makes it fun. So how do you create these like chains of value that make players care about what they're doing? Sort of summarizing all of that stuff. So the Patreon is to support the channel. It gives people access to our Discord. There's some higher tier stuff, and people that are part of that Discord then get these priority streams every other Wednesday where I just play your games. But yeah, generally speaking, I do not paywall anything. There's not like secret videos that only patrons get, because that's not the goal of the channel really, to do that. If I wanted to make paywalled content, I'd go back to teaching in a university and only working with 50 people every year, which is, you know, not a great way to share knowledge and experience, I don't think. More reliable pay, definitely. But thank you all for joining today. And I hope you have a lovely, productive or relaxing rest of the day, or both. If